Tuesday night, here we are with regional consultant Janet James, and we're already off to the races with some potential coaching opportunities. Very excited to hear how things are going. So let's jump straight in and see what's going on. First of all, let's bring regional consultant Janet James on the line. Janet, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Fantastic. All right. So let's get straight on here. I just want to make sure I've got your notes here so that we've got that to refer to. There you are. All right. Okay. So why don't you, I'm going to talk about the invites you texted to me at some point as well, but why don't you tell me how your day has gone first, and I'm sure it'll come up in conversation as we go through. Sound good?
Okay. Well, I've been so busy today. I got up, I came to work. I've just been so busy, but I was like, that is, get over it. You've got to make your calls. So anyways, I called my friend Rodney, who's a landscape guy, and I really had worked today on I went back and listened to what you said, all the things you said. I went back and I wrote it out, and basically I just decided I was just going to go for it, and then I was going to have good posturing. And so he was, he didn't pick up, so I left him a message. And just a few minutes later on my way home, he called me. And we have an appointment next Wednesday at 10:30.
Look at you go, girl. How does that feel?
It's like it works. Oh, my gosh, I've been trying so hard for so long. And now it's like, okay, this is it. Get a plan, write it down, and go for it.
Yeah, absolutely perfect. I mean, the thing is, if you make the call, you get the posture right, and you get the opportunity to show the plan, that's a success. That's a thumbs up. And I'm sure you were still a little bit nervous before you made the call, but at the end of the day, having it written down certainly keeps you on track. But having an accountability call says you've got to make this call, otherwise, all week you're just going to be apologizing to Richard as to why you haven't made them. So that's great.
Exactly.
So appointment set for, you say, next Tuesday?
Next Wednesday. He was very kind. He said, me and my wife are really focused on ministry right now, but he goes, I will take a look because I might know somebody that might be interested. And so we made an appointment for next Wednesday at 10:30.
That's perfect, and that's all we need for on this call. Or all we're looking for is we're not looking to ask anybody to join. We're just asking them to take a look, and if he's going to take a look and it's going to make sense to him, or for him to do it himself, or it's not going to make sense for him to do it himself, but at least he knows and he can refer you. And that's all we can ever ask for. All we need is 3, and the right 3 you won't have to try very hard to find. They'll jump right out at you. So that's fantastic. All right, well, good deal. So that's some success today. Anything else you managed to get to today?
Well, I called Julia, and she didn't answer the phone, and so I wrote down those 4 times you said call 1 time and leave a message. I wrote all that down, and so I'm going to put my days down. I'm going to call her, and so I left a message, and I actually did another call today too.
Okay.
And that it didn't go well. She had a horrible thing happen in her life, and she said, please take me off your list. And I said, I will, and I told her she's a friend of a dear friend. I said, I told her I'd pray for her. So, even when I got rejection, as you move along and you don't take it personal, and you realize that you're just going to the next person, even if it doesn't work out, it's okay because there's always 2 tomorrow.
And this is the thing. Did you, during the invite, were you able to say to her, it may or may not be your cup of tea, but may or may not be your thing? You're able to the third
one I have talked to twice, and she's told me to call her back, in a month. So when I pulled on my planner day, there was her name. So after I did my 2 calls, I was like, I'm going to go ahead and call her. And basically, she was crying, and she told me her husband asked her for a divorce today. And so anyway, it was just a horrible time in her life. But I did ended up with, I think about you and I'll keep you in my prayers. And so,
Yeah.
Yeah,
the last thing anybody's got any time for during that type of thing is a new business. So, but we're not going to take her off the list. We're just going to move her because we're going to call her in 6 months or so. So just purge. This is what the purge call is all about. What was her name, by the way?
Her name is Karen.
Karen. Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's just terrible. I mean, I've been through a divorce. I know what it's like, and you have no brain space for anything. So, absolutely, we'll take her off her current calling list, but we'll purge her for a call back in 6 months because in 6 months, who knows how things may have changed. You may have met someone new. You may be looking for something. So we'll follow up in 6 months with, because obviously you'll be a real strong SC or maybe even an EC by then. You've got things to really talk to her about. She's got a new guy, and who knows. So we'll just put her on the drip list. All right. Well, good deal. Okay. So Julia, yeah, that's the first voicemail done. Okay. Anything else happened today, or is that it today?
That's it today, and I'm working. I see. I didn't get things written down before I started this week. And this has been the hard part for me, is really writing down and writing it over what to say, but it's getting easier as I go along.
Yeah, absolutely. And I got the invites that you sent through to me, which I was looking through, and I wanted to just spend a couple of minutes on those with you whilst we're on the call, if that's okay, just so I can kind of give you a little bit of advice. I was actually writing it out for you, but I might as well say it to you on this call, so it's also recorded. So the invite that I have, I'm going to read your invite, if that's okay. And then I'm going to make some final little bits of tweaks. This was the invite for Julia. Now, I don't have any notes on Julia. Tell me a little bit about Julia before we look at the invite.
She works with her husband works for my husband. My husband has given him a magazine. He kind of is excited about it, but, he said, you need to call my wife. So they have a magazine, and so I'm trying to reconnect with his wife. So that's it. She doesn't know me. Her husband works for my husband.
Do you know if there's any pain there or anything like that?
Well, I know that her husband does warranty work, and so I know how sometimes that's with the economy is up and down. So I know that when you're in that industry, there's never a lot of security.
Okay, we need a why. We need a hook, and because that was something that was missing in your invite, and that's why I'm asking you the question. The business can be up and down. All right. So I'm going to read the invite as it is, and then we'll go back and kind of look through it. It says here, Julia, I'm trying to read your writing here as well. Forgive me. Hey, this is Janet, Rick's wife. Is this a good time? I'm just running out the door, but I have been meaning to call you. Rick and I are so worried about retirement. We are worried we were going to have to work until we were 70. We're so excited we found a part-time project. Our business is exploding and exploding around the DFW area. The great thing about it is it's going to allow us to retire in 3 years with time. We'll be financially free and it's recession-proof. I'm calling you because we're asking you to do us a favor. Take a look. It might be for you. May or may not be for you. That's okay. But if it makes sense to you, you might refer us to others. Would you be open to that? Is tomorrow lunch good or afternoon after 5? Would either of those times be good for you? Forgive me for my poor reading. It's just I was just working on reading your writing. But so here are my thoughts. The first part is good. And you're in a hurry, and that's really good. So you're protected and everything. I'm a little. The only thing was that I felt towards the second half. You were a little. What was the wording that I used? It lost a little bit of posture because you're asking for a favor for them to take a look. And I know the favor is a very is a popular thing in this business, especially with people becoming customers. But when it comes to inviting for someone to look at a business like this, when it's like a business that's that's creating millionaires and setting people financially free, I'm not a big fan of the favor because it, in my opinion, reduces your posture. I don't know that I would talk about the posture, and about the favor, and I'll come back to that in a second. And also, allow us to retire in 5 years of time, financial freedom, and it's recession-proof. That feels a little salesy to me. It doesn't feel like conversational speak. So I would be worried that might sound a little like, a sales call. So based upon those couple of things, I probably would change it a little bit, and I'd say something along the lines of, hey, Julie, this is Janet, Rick's wife. Listen, I'm just running out the door, but I've been meaning to call you. Do you have a minute? And she'll hopefully say yes. And say, well, Rick and I are both approaching a retirement age, and like many people our age, we're looking to make sure we retire safely with enough money as we get older. And to that end, we recently started a new business project that's going really well in the DFW area, and has really taken off for it. And it's going to be fully funding our retirement without question. And in fact, in 3 years, we'll probably be retired from this. And so we're really excited about it. But the reason why I'm calling you is actually twofold. First of all, as with any business, we want to create awareness, and the best way to do that is, by networking. And I'd love you to take a look at what we're doing, just so you know what we're doing, so that maybe you can refer us and, create, spread the word, as it were. But secondly, quite frankly, Julia, I'm kind of interested for you to look at this, because I know your husband's work can be up and down, and especially when the economy is struggling, which we don't, it's doing fine at the moment, but you never know. But bearing in mind your business up and down, I'd like you to take a look at this, because actually I think it might be something that you and your husband might want to do with us. Now, it may or may not be your cup of tea, and that's perfectly fine. But what are you doing after work around 5 o'clock, or and then the close on the time? And the reason why I'm saying that invite is it's a little bit more up. And what I mean by that up, the posture's a little better. Because you talk about being really worried about retirement, and worried about having to work till you're 70, and that's fine. But I kind of changed that a little bit, that we're actually going to be solving our retirement. So the invite has a bit more of a glass half full feel about it than a glass half empty feel about it. Both are fine. But just from that positivity standpoint and posture, I kind of like, that we've started a business that's going to get our retirement, fully funded. In fact, we'll probably be able to retire within 3 years. And you've got that in there. And that's a minor thing. The way you did it was fine. I just was going to fine-tune it and, twist it a little bit towards being more glass half full than glass half empty. But you'll notice in my invite, I didn't ask for any favors. As I say, when we've got a company that's $1.5 billion, 1.3 million customers, we're setting people free, we're creating millionaires, I don't need a favor for someone to look at my business. I am proud of this business, and in any business I've ever had, I've not said to someone, even with my restaurants, I've not said, hey, do me a favor, come and eat at my restaurant. I've hey, I've opened a new restaurant, come try it out, tell your friends. Right? The favor thing in an invite like this, I don't feel comfortable using it, and it makes you sound weak. And forgive me for being kind of brutal about that, but posture in these invites and excitement and being up is really important. And if we're asking for a favor, we're giving them the power, and we're giving them the ability to take the power from us when they say, hey, look, it's not my cup of tea, or it's just not my thing. And so I would just be, as I say, the reason why I'm calling you is twofold. First of all, I want you to take a look at what I'm doing, like any business. And again, I'm going to say, I would say the same thing if it was my restaurant. Reason why I'm giving you a call is, hey, I want you to come and eat at the restaurant. I want you to try the food and tell everybody about it. I've got to hustle for my business. People get that. People understand that. Okay, so we can be up and more postured positively. But back to the being relevant to Ambit. So I want you to look at the business for a couple of reasons. First of all, as with any business, we want to create awareness, and networking is the best way to do that. And I'd love you to see what we're doing so you can refer us to others. That would be great. But secondly, and this is where I am going to address their why, which is why I was asking you about her and her husband, is, with your husband's work being constantly up and down, there's, you have times of feast and times of famine. And quite frankly, I'd like you to take a look at this business and consider doing it with us, because it will even out those ups and downs. And that you may even be able to say in there that it's also a recession-proof business. I wouldn't talk about financial freedom. That's a buzzword that you kind of read in a promotion material. I don't know that I'd put it into an ad, into an invite. But it sounds like it would be the sort of thing you read in an ad. But recession-proof would be great. So, because that's going to relate to his business being up and down. So I would, as I say, two reasons. One, for networking. Secondly, I want you to take a look at it, because I think this could be something you'd like to do with your husband alongside what you're currently doing. You don't have to stop what you're doing, but it definitely would even out that cash flow. So again, This call's recorded. I've said a lot, but you'll be able to listen back and kind of disseminate the information into words that you would say, and that's the way that I would do it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense. And, I want to learn, because I want to be able to be effective as I can. So, and I think that's what this is going to teach me, is to learn the verbiage and go back and listen to these calls so I can write them down. And so I feel like I'm very privileged, excited to be doing this.
Awesome. Well, let me ask you a question as well. You've been in network marketing before. Have you you've been successful. I know you've made money. But you've been in product sales, and I would imagine the product sales have, quite a ticket to them, price ticket to them. Have you had? Do you get negative reactions to that business? Did you have negative reactions when you were building that business?
Well, when it comes to wellness and health and wellness, either people are interested in that or they're not. So of course you have people that are negative because they don't have a need for it. So yes, I've had a lot of negative over the years, and that is just a internship I think that you go through. Everyone goes through.
But do you think that a little bit of, because I've done those types of businesses before, both good companies. But what it did was it slowly built up a stigma inside me about this type of business. And I was, as much as I knew the products were great, I always had this gut feeling inside that, I'm going to get rejected. I'm doing one of those businesses. Did that ever come across? Did that ever, get into your thoughts at all?
No.
Okay.
Because, the first exposure I had to that business was from a medical doctor from Baylor. And what he said changed my life. So, what he said changed my life. And so, it didn't really matter what people thought. I knew that it had changed. I knew what he said changed my life. So, even though people said negative things to me, that's just because they don't know what they're talking about, or they're not sick enough yet, or they don't have a need yet.
Yeah. Right. I get that. Okay, I was just seeing if there's anything behind some of the language that you used in the invite, and there obviously isn't, because sometimes when you've had experience, sometimes the way you act is based on unconsciously on something that's happened before, but that's obviously not the case in this situation. And so all I'm asking you to do, or recommending you do, is changing your language for it to be more glass half full. We're not asking for favors here. We want you to take a look at this. We're building a business, and hey, it may be something that would suit you, bearing in mind your business is up and down. I'd be very positive. I don't need to apologize for this business at all. For the same reason, you don't need to apologize for those health and wellness products that you were told about with your doctor. So it's just a language thing in the invite. As I say, this is all recorded, so you can have a listen back, and it can hopefully help you out.
Okay, sounds good.
Fantastic. All right. Well, there is another one here with Rodney, but we're running a little short of time. I've got another accountability call I'm just about to start on, but it's kind of a similar thing. Great. What a great day. You got an invite with a business owner who's going to take a look. You've got Karen. You've got her. She's now purged, so she's off your list, and you've cleared that. You've called her a couple of times. That's now cleared some space on your plate, so that's great. So a good day. A good day indeed. So I will, unless you had any other questions, I will chat to you again tomorrow, same time, same place.
Sure. Sounds great. Thank you.
Fantastic. All right. Thank you so much. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.